And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara podcast. Here's Jeff.
Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday to you. I apologize for the delay and the mix-up and starting it over again. But we're here and we're together, and it's Saturday, so we're good to go. And if you're on the other side of the planet, happy Sunday to you. And if you're celebrating Easter, it's already Easter over there, so happy Easter to you. And we've already got people here. We're ready to go. We've got somebody in the room already, so which is great. And while we're waiting for a few people to enter the room, I wanted to announce that I decided to put together a website. And I was thinking about what I want to put in the website. So if you want to, if you have any ideas of what you would like to see in the website, then let us know. But that's one of the newest things that we're going to be working on. So that's up and coming. All right. What else do we do? Should I make any announcements yet? We're waiting for people to get here. Julie's here in the waiting room. I recorded probably the most comprehensive podcast I've ever had yesterday on not near-death experiences, on astral projection. I had a man, Luigi Shambarella, from the Monroe Institute, and we went really into depth about astral traveling, what's going on. And I think it's pretty amazing. It's almost an hour and a half long. It's really long, but if you're really interested in astral traveling or out-of-body experiences, I think you're really going to like this. All right, so while we're going, let me put my other headphone in. That way I'll be able to hear the guest. Let's bring in Julie and seeing what's going on with Julie here. Maybe she's going to do a meditation for us. One second, my headphones are all tangled. All right. Shows Julie's connecting to audio. And she's got it. Oh, there she was.
Hi.
You got a dog avatar today.
Are you doing a meditation? If not, I'm all set.
If you would like to, we can start it. Yeah, if you'd like to. I have background meditation music, so I've already prepared. If you'd like to do something today.
Okay. Well. I just thought that. Does anyone else want to do it? I don't have to do it.
You don't have to. If you want to talk about whatever, we can just get right into what you want to talk about.
I don't want to talk about anything. I feel a bit like a tard right now.
You what?
I feel a bit like a tard.
No, of course not.
A meditation, but no, I don't want to talk about anything.
All right. Well, what do you want to do?
I'm so embarrassed.
You're just here to say hi? That's okay, too.
I was here because I thought we're doing a meditation.
Well, I'm pretty spontaneous, and I guess I should have mentioned that Leslie. I should have mentioned that Leslie. Well, I don't know. I guess I should have. We're not on that. We need to get on the same page, so at least you and I will know when we're doing something and when we're not.
Cool. Okay. Dad, I thought last week he was off, and this week he was, as in Leslie was coming. But I won't take up your time. You do.
No. Whatever you want to do. So whatever you would like to do. This is there's no schedule to this. I take one guest at a time. And that's what I like about it, is when I do these, when I'm interviewing or I'm with a guest, it's a little bit more structured. But what I like about this is it's not structured. It's just kind of whatever happens, happens. Whoever shows up, shows up. And, it's just hanging out with you guys.
Cool. Well, I'm gonna jump off then.
All right, that's okay. We're always
What
happy
it
to
looks like
see.
to be totally embarrassed.
There's nothing to be embarrassed about.
Much love to you.
Okay, I love you too. All right, well, we got SI Phone here. So let's see who SI Phone is. Oh, it's Elle. Hey, Elle.
Hey, hi, how are you?
Nice to see you. So if you
You
guys
too.
haven't seen the video I did with Elle, you need to check it out immediately after this podcast. But we did a podcast together. We posted it on what, Monday or Tuesday? Do you remember what day that was? Let me get this out of here.
I think it was on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so Ella's back. So did you think of things that we didn't talk about but we should have, or you wish you would have since then?
One of the things that, and I got so many incredible emails. I was just really blown away and just felt that it was as great as experience for me as it was for some people to hear it. So it was really warming to my heart and just, made me think about a lot of different things. And you don't think that you're sharing your story
Mm-hmm.
is going to have that big of an impact or that be that big of a deal sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But, one of the things that I didn't focus on, and I think somebody might have emailed and asked me this. They asked me about love, basically. And when I was talking about, when I was placed into different things like a tree or a leaf, or I was not placed in a tree, but told to merge with a tree, placed in a lily, placed in a fish, things like that. Um, what the point was is for us to kind of in our journey experience love from lots of different perspectives, because when we do that, then we can better understand each other, and then we could bring down a lot of barriers by doing that. So this person, and I don't remember their name, but they emailed me and asked me more about kind of like what was the meaning of love and what was our purpose in regards to love. So that's one thing that I thought about that I didn't really go into a lot.
I guess I'm kind of used to it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But in doing this podcast, I never expected so many people to write to me and tell me how these videos help them.
Yeah.
So I guess, for you, it's the first time and it's kind of overwhelming, right?
Right, it is. But it shows just how important what you're doing is. You think, okay, well, just going to have a podcast, whatever. And Jeff, you're actually highlighting a lot of people that, need to get their story out, and that it kind of comes full circle because it helps other people as well.
Yeah, it's amazing. Are there any other questions that people asked you that we can address?
Yeah, some people ask me about like things that are going on in the world, right now. And my answer was the same. Like, I did not want to necessarily go into certain people, places, and things, especially because this is kind of a really dodgy time. But I basically said that in regards to one particular person, kind of the result of something that I saw is coming true in real time. So, yeah. So that's one thing. Let's see, some of the other things that people asked were, somebody asked about the health stuff. The reason why the health stuff is important is not only because we need to be able to handle a lot of stress, and we need to be able to just be in the best condition, but also when we're healthier and we put healthier things in us, we raise our vibration, which helps us to be able to see clearly. You know, there are a lot of things that might try to fool us in life, that may try to like, you know, pull a wool over our faces. But when your vibration is higher, you have better discernment. You're better able to like, you know, you hear your guides better. You're able to, you know, to think, wait a minute, you know, and really know and hear what steps to take, what things to do. So the more that you put good things into your body, it kind of combats all of the, you know, the negative frequencies, and it combats all the, you know, the negative stuff that comes at you, and helps you to like fine tune your intuition. So that's the other reason why it's important.
This is off topic, but the very next day, the very next guest, obviously after you, was another woman from Jamaica.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I told her, you're like, you know, I just had someone from Jamaica yesterday.
Right.
So that's pretty cool, 2 in a row.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm half Jamaican, and you know, we were talking about what does I and I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, Jamaicans are kind of just kind of taught in like culturally to just think of connection and live in connection with other things, other beings, with God and everything. But yeah, you know, it's in certain cultures, like maybe here, we might have to work on trying to, you know, to think that way and get that way, because we're so divided, you know, with
Mm-hmm.
each other. But you know, it's possible.
How is Bob Marley looked at over there culturally? Is he like
Oh,
the golden child of Jamaica?
yes. Oh, yeah. He totally is. Not just a golden child in regards to music,
Mm-hmm.
but he was very philosophical,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And so he was kind of like a spiritual mentor to a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
because of music, you know? And I personally believe that certain people are given gifts that may not seem like a gift, but his gift of, you know, listening to whatever he listens to, the divine or whatever, to bring forth words that heal people, that
Mm-hmm.
make people think, you know, all of those create frequencies that help us. So people feel, you know, a certain way when they listen to his music, you know, not just like hearing the words, but like in their soul, they feel it, you
Yeah,
know?
I totally agree. I mean, whenever I need a pick me up, I'll put on Bob Marley.
When I first came out of the hospital, and I wasn't completely back together then, and I was having a lot of pain. I was still having, you know, movement issues. And the bedroom that I was in, there was a little like window that was high up, and I woke up one day and I saw 3 little birds
Mm.
perched on the window. And then the song 3 Little Birds by Bob Marley came to me. And when I was feeling just like, oh my gosh, I hate my body, you know, all this other stuff, I started reciting the words in my head, you know, don't worry, because every little thing's going to be all right.
Mm-hmm.
And it helped.
That's awesome. So, um, where do you go from here? Do you think you'll ever write a book or something about your experience?
Yeah, I've actually been working on one. So I'm gonna work faster on it. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. And you know, I'm also thinking of, you know, sharing my story a little bit more, you
Mm-hmm.
know, publicly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to think through that. So any tips that you might have?
You know, well, I have this ability where I find undiscovered people like you.
Oh, wow.
I mean, you know, like you, or they're attracted to me. I can't remember if I reached
Mhm.
out to you or you reached out to me. Either way, it doesn't matter. But I have this ability where I bring so many new people that I'm surprised nobody, you know, and after I've brought them to the world, I mean, you know, like in a video sense, that
Mhm.
usually other podcasters start reaching out to them. And I'm surprised if not anybody else has said, hey, will you be on my show? Has that happened?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
I've
so
had
see?
I've had several requests.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there you go.
Mm-hmm.
So that'll be great, because not everybody watches what I put out, so you'll reach other people that way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, do you have anything else to share or anything else that you forgot that you wanted to talk about that you remembered like a couple days later?
Um, yes, I did, and I forgot again.
Hmm.
Um, um, I should have been a little bit, I should have looked at my notes before I came
That's
online
okay.
here.
Hmm.
But yeah, just I think the thing that's sticking out in my head most right now, too, before before you go on to the next person, is about aliens,
Mm.
really.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, and I'm just really feeling kind of excited for that chapter
Hmm.
to come through, and for it to be kind of more, people are just kind of accepting it
Hmm.
as the norm, that we
Hmm.
aren't the only life forms in the world, or I mean in the universe. And um I'm eagerly anticipating when we can, like, have that contact, and like that open contact, I should say, that collective contact. And I'm, I've seen other things about history, alternative history, or ancient alien history, things like that. That it's not the first time that we've had visitors
Hmm.
from another planet come to the Earth. So I think it might help people to kind of think of this already as, well, this is a normal thing. People are panicking because they think, oh my gosh, there's going to be some type of invasion. They're going to kill us, all this other stuff. But if we think about it in, if we normalize it, think about it in normal terms, like, well, we know that there's evidence that they've been here before. They've come, they've helped, they've done certain things, they've left, and they're going to come again, and then kind of treat it that way. Then I think that might help people a little bit psychologically to handle it, and then also to just emotionally handle something like that, you know?
It's interesting that you say that because I recorded a guest this morning
Mm-hmm.
who claims to have alien contact when she meditates and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And she asked, even though she has contact like that, she asked them to please contact her in waking life, but she still asked them, please don't do it in a way that I would be scared.
Right.
So even
I
someone who's already contacting them still has some
Mhm.
amount of fear.
Yeah, exactly. Because there are many people that can do that. I have a family member who, let's see, was this in 2021, had a contact event,
Hmm.
and since then has seen them. And literally the same thing. Actually, they manifested, and she said, can you please just not do that, because it's a bit weird,
Hmm.
I'm just, kind of like basically saying, I'm not completely ready to see the full package yet, but can you just kind of, back off a little bit. But yeah, there are lots of people who are contacted that way. And from what I know, aliens usually contact people telepathically first that way, because they're able to,
Hmm.
so yeah.
This
Hmm.
lady, she said that she feels she was at the park afterwards. I don't know if it was the same day or how much time had passed, but these
Hmm.
really strange people came to her, humans,
Hmm. Yeah.
at the park and did really strange things. And she later, after the day had passed, she feels like that was them appearing in
Yeah.
human form and that she put it together later.
Have you had any guests or heard anything about Canada? There seems to be like a lot of people seeing what look like Pleiadians in Canada. Have you heard anything about that?
I have not. Doesn't mean
Yeah,
it doesn't exist. It just hasn't come across my path.
well, I've seen and several things, and know of one person in particular that they keep seeing like these very tall, very blonde people walking around in Canada, and they're obviously not, they don't behave like typical humans.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I saw something where somebody else said, this was really weird. This person I ran into, so that I don't know what's going on in Canada, but something's happening in Canada. So,
Now, didn't
yeah.
you say something's supposed to happen this month?
Yeah, I feel like something's going to happen this month. I felt like had something to do with alien contact,
Mm-hmm.
but if it's not, something definitely big is happening in April.
Mm-hmm.
And but regardless, by the end of the year, I think that we're going to have alien contact event, a mass contact event, I should say.
Mm. Did I?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry because since I talk to everybody as
Hmm.
somebody new every day, please don't
Right.
be upset. But did we talk about the pole shift? Did you and I talk about that? The magnetic
No,
shift of the poles?
no. What
Okay.
about the magnetic
Well,
shift of the poles?
I was talking to this woman today about that, and she said
Hmm.
that the aliens told her that we've already passed a point of something in March. It's already started or something.
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Did she say what that point had to do with?
No, she didn't have any details,
Hmm.
but she had mentioned that. I think it was the guest the day before you that's when we were talking about that because
Oh, okay.
the day before that we were talking about she lives in Canada and she thinks, according to her, I think it didn't start yet, but I
Hmm.
believe that she thinks that when it does happen, we'll be on, maybe like people in Canada will be on the equator at that point.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I
Wow.
don't know.
Well, we're definitely due for a polar shift, and I
Mm-hmm.
know that I saw something that I think it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago that there was a larger hole in the sun,
Mm-hmm.
which interestingly looked like a triangle. I don't know why. I didn't really look into that or research it a little bit more. So I don't know if that's typical or, if it's not. But there's definitely a lot of magnetic pull, and I think can explain some of the things that are happening now. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, yeah.
um, but like I said before, within the 5 to 7 years, things are going to be and look a lot more differently. So maybe that's what she might be talking about, that something has already started and it can't be reversed now. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know.
Mm-hmm. I had a guest on a long time ago.
Hmm.
He was here to talk about something completely different, but in his day job, he's a meteorologist for the government. And I had thought
Mm-hmm.
this already. I didn't even mention this to him. And he brought it up with me. And I talked about this on Saturdays before. People probably recognize this. But he told me that the seasons have shifted. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, and I was just telling my wife, I think it was yesterday, the day before today, it was kind of cold here in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And especially for April. It's usually not
Yeah.
in the 50s in April. And I was telling her, I remember that guy who was saying that things have shifted. So maybe winter starts a little later, spring starts a little
Right.
later.
Yeah.
I need to get him back on because I'd like to talk more about that. I'd want to understand the math behind that because,
Yeah.
either something has changed if that's what he's saying. I would like to, get some
Yeah.
clarity on that.
Yeah. I've seen more and more things about meteorologists being perplexed themselves about
Mm-hmm.
what's going on with the weather, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's obvious there are a bunch of changes taking place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I'll say many, many years ago, one time I had a dream, and it was
Mm-hmm.
one of those dreams that was like super real. Like people will say it
Mm-hmm.
was like just as real as you and I sitting here. And it was the
Right.
strangest dream ever. I was sitting at a cafe with an old friend, and
Mm-hmm.
talking to somebody, which I don't even remember who it was.
Mm-hmm.
And many times I dream about people that I've never met before. Anyways, this person was explaining to me, that the global warming is happening because the shape that the Earth travels around the sun has changed a little bit, maybe by a couple degrees. Whether that's true or not, but I at least later Googled, and there is a name for the certain shape that the Earth makes around the sun, because it's not a circle.
Elliptical?
Yeah, it's elliptical, but there's a
Elliptical?
certain name about it besides
Okay.
elliptical.
Okay.
Whether that's true or just some complete imagination, I don't know. But it was like one of those dreams where it was like, very, very real.
I always think that those dreams that seem very real is actually a message to you. So, that's some good information,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe you should look into that, because that sounds like it could have been a message,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely. Well, Elle, are you still accepting emails if people still want to get
Yeah.
in touch with you? So if
Mhm.
anybody still would like to talk to Elle or send her an email, what's the best way to reach you?
Less than 1%, and that's the number 1%,
Mm-hmm.
1111 at Gmail,
Mm-hmm.
or you can follow my Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
URL 1111.
There you guys have it. And let me get my other mouse here. I was going to say, for those of you who didn't see it, your podcast number, let me see, videos, you're not too far down here. Podcast 762. And it says in real big, the Earth sucks. So you shouldn't be able to miss that one. All right, Elle, well, thanks for coming and hanging out with us. I appreciate you. Don't be a stranger. Come anytime.
Okay.
And
Thank
and I
you.
wish you the best.
Thank you.
All
You
right.
take care.
Take care, you too.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, she's gone already. I almost hit end meeting for all. Good that I didn't do that. That would have been crazy. All right, so we almost got 300 people here. That's great. If you want to come on and join me, all you have to do is go to Zoom and click join a meeting. And then once you're there, it'll ask you for the room ID, which is in the description below. And then it'll ask you for the passcode, which is also there. And then you just join. And when you do enter the passcode, make sure that you, where it's capital, it's capital. When it's not, it's not, because it is case sensitive. All right, just a few quick things while we're waiting for the next guest to come on. Also down below is, there's a few things you'll see in the description. One is a link to my personal Facebook page. You're welcome to friend me. I'm accepting friends until I hit 5,000, and you'll see that my last name is Reynolds. Mara is not my last name. Mara is my beloved wife sitting next to me. So that's there. If you want to like our JeffMara Facebook page, that's there. If you also will see a link to the JeffMara podcast NDE clips. So what that is a channel that is just NDEs, but I just clip out the NDE and I don't put the intro or anything afterwards. And that's perfect for people who only have about 5 to 20 minutes to invest in a video. And that just gives you that quick little video. So that's there for you. I used to be a music producer and produce music, and I'm kind of slowly getting back into it. And I have some old music stuff that I just posted in one channel called JeffMara Music. That is there. At some point, I want to create meditation music and stuff like that. So that's what that's there for, and I'll slowly add to that when it's time. And is that all? I think that's all that's there. Oh, and there's the link to our Discord. And if you don't know what Discord is kind of like Facebook, but different. And what you can do there is you can hang out with other people. There's at least 500 people there. So if you're looking for friends to chat with and hang out, that's the perfect place to go. I kind of let you guys regulate it. I don't pop in there, and I only check in when someone's having a problem, which is very very unoften, very seldom. And so you can go there, you can hang out, you can post memes, you can chat, you can video chat, you can audio chat. Some people used to give away free services, like Merlin used to be there and do tarot readings for people, and there's some other people, and I'm not really sure if anybody's doing anything there these days. But on Discord, it's separated into, it's called a server, like I have my own server, and it's kind of like little chat rooms, and one of them's called services, and that's where the people would do that. And then PDP, which I don't see in the chat, he may or may not be here. He has organized for me a volunteer thing to basically take each of these NDE videos and catalog them of all the different topics throughout the video. So at some point I would like to create a video that would be having person after person after person say like, yeah, I left my body and then I was flying through a tunnel. And then if it goes from person to person, it would be pretty interesting. Or when I left my body, I saw 8 or 10 foot angels, because that's a common thing. So if you have this one person after a person after a person, it may be real compelling. And it's impossible for me to do the work and go back and do that as well. So he's been so kind, and other people have joined him, and I'm very thankful for them to be working on that for us. And so next we got Nicole Catarusa, which I think that is going to be Lou Catarusa, who was also a guest a couple days ago. And we'll see what's up with Lou. And if you missed that, Lou, go back and do that as well. So he's been so kind, and other people. Hi Lou, if you can, mute the YouTube video. And so next we got, there he is. So if you didn't see that one, Lou was here a couple days ago, and that video is titled The Science of Kindness, Caring, and Gratitude. And here he is. Welcome back, Lou. Thanks for popping in. How's it going? Uh-oh, you muted your mic. Your mic's muted.
How's that?
There you go. Now you're back. I thought it was on my end. I was like, what did I do?
Good to see you.
Yes, likewise. So have you thought about anything that we didn't touch on that you wish you would have said, and now you're here to do so?
There was so much that we spoke about that I think we covered all bases. I think everyone that's commented, I got so many comments from people, so encouraging, that I decided to open up a Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday opportunity for people to get to come and ask questions that they have about things that they need to know. And but the biggest thing is really how easy is it to actually transform into a contributing mindset that really makes you a magnet for your life to get to be the best it could be, to a from a fear-based mindset, which is what people are stuck in. And I've had conversations with people that have called me that some that are in kind of stuck in a lifestyle that they're just not happy with.
Mm-hmm.
And I provide, I'm willing to provide just a pathway, as I would when someone asks me, what do you do as a life coach? And basically is to really sit down and create a formal plan of action, so that you stop searching for solutions and you actually get into being a contributing mindset. And at that point there, you start actually going into action and doing. So you go from being to doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because people get stuck and they're just not doing. They're just sitting back and waiting for ideas that may, enlighten them to the idea of a solution just happening out of nowhere. And that's not how it works. You definitely got to do the work that's necessary to have that occur,
Mm-hmm.
that transformation occur. And it happens. It's not hard to do. It just is a wonderful place, knowing that any of the fears that you might have, which is one of the main fundamental one, is just that, I'm not going to exist any longer. That big fear of dying. Well, when you get past that and you really understand that in the worst case scenario, even if it isn't what everybody says it is, what's the difference? You're going to live a joyful, wonderful life. And maybe it will be that way. You'll have the hope that it will be that when you could live for that process. But meanwhile, your life is really, because fear is such a crippling place to come from. And to get in touch with that, that's, your fundamental place of that you live from, is that having that fear that stops you. So A is get rid of that. Just come from that perspective and then start recognizing that the solutions for you to move forward are learning your biology, those great chemicals that you have inside you, those hormones of oxytocin, serotonin, and dopamine. They're just waiting for you to trigger them. And you do that not by being fearful. You do that by being kind, caring, and grateful to your body, to your mind, to everything that you have. Just do that to your relationship, to the folks outside, to your pets. Just be kind, caring, and grateful, and create that mindset, and you will see how you become a magnet for possibilities to occur that you just never knew. And that plugs you in to what I call your spirit consciousness. That is where you all of a sudden know that every step you're taking is designed for you to be able to experience when you come from that contributing mindset. Otherwise, you come from that old avatar self, and that's the one that you just, it just doesn't let you have the joy that you're entitled to. You are entitled to have that. And your show is so wonderful. I am so proud of you. You're
Thank
doing
you.
such a great job.
Thank you.
And I've seen lots, and you do it with ease. And I've got so many comments from people who've said this. And they said, he just brought the best out in you. He's such a great interviewer, and I'm really thankful that you did do that.
Well, I appreciate that, and that's really what I want to do, is bring the best out of all my guests.
Yeah, you're doing a great job. Yeah.
Speaking of fear, do you feel that all fear ultimately stems from the fear of death or something else?
Yeah, I think ultimately, when you're young, obviously there's all parts of your life, but when you're young, you don't really fear death. That's not, you're kind of a fearless person, right? When you get a little older, and all of a sudden, that's kind of for older folks, it's a bit of a concern. It's not even the fear of dying as much as how I die. I'm fearful of that I might get sick. I'm going to have a disease. I'm not incurable. I'm going to lose my mind. All these fears are they're thoughts that almost manifest themselves. You get so frightened, you get so stressed, you get so crippled by that. So, and I know of folks, obviously, that early on, they watch the news, and what do you see? You see everything that tells you why you should fear. And when I was a kid, I used to hang out on the side of in a store, in a community in Astoria that was lots and lots of people all over the place, and I, as a 10-year-old, would go on the side street, play stickball with friends. Nobody ever thought of worrying about your kids being this and that and so forth. And today there's an abundance of that, especially in the inner cities. The fear that goes on between people themselves, that the way that we treat each other, the way that we're afraid that we're going to. There's so many reasons to be afraid, and there's no doubt about it. But what you don't want to do is you don't want it to control you. You want it to be vigilant about things. You've got to be understanding of things, but don't let it control you. And how you do that is you give that up. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't be aware, you shouldn't be diligent, But you give that up to the perspectives. I am going to do this morning. What I'm going to do from the morning on is I'm going to look to contribute to everything that I do. If I'm brushing my teeth, I'm contributing to my teeth. I'm contributing to my body. I'm contributing to the way that I project myself to others, the way that I dress, the way that I look. It just lets people feel more comfortable about me when I go outside and I say hello to people. Do I expect them to say hello? No, it's unconditional. You do that just from an unconditional perspective. And what you'll see all of a sudden, that things just shift. All of a sudden, you're creating the world. The world is reacting to the way your state of being. And that state of being is miraculous, just miraculous.
Yeah, that's great. So great words. So have a lot of people reached out to you personally and contacted you since the podcast?
I have lists and lists. That's why it's a little, I'll be honest with you, it's a little overwhelming. And I'm happy to serve those that need. I'm more than happy to do that. I can only give them my experience and the wisdom that's come up. If it's things about business, that's one thing. I'd handle that differently, but on a personal basis, I'd be more than happy. But I need to create a vehicle for people, so that I can't do one-on-one. It's much too difficult for me to do that. There's other things in my life that I have to take care of. And so if I set up something on a Tuesday night, I'll provide 2 hours. Wednesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, you could ask. You just send me your email and I'll send you out a Zoom link and you can participate. And we'll talk about brainstorming. How do we because my interest is really all I care about. How do we figure out how to get this simple notion for people to become aware of that they're wired to be able to cause joy, health, and satisfaction on demand. If all they have to do is change their way of thinking to a contributing mindset and handle that. Now I'll create the forum for people to be able to do this. I'm not asking for people to pay anything. I'm willing to put that time out for them. That's my contribution to them.
That's
if
great.
They need more help one-on-one, that's a different story. But for this, I'll be available Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday nights for those that need to do that.
For those that have not seen our podcast together and they don't know how to connect with you, what's the best way to do so?
Yeah, I would go to loucataruzza.com, LOUCATARUZZA.com. There are not that many Cataruzzas out there, so if you Google Lou Cataruzza, one way or another, you'll get there.
Right. Well, Lou, thank you so much for coming back and hanging out with me. It's great seeing you again. Yeah. Don't be a stranger. You're always welcome here. And I'm sorry, I need to run. I've got 2 people waiting on me, but it was great seeing you, and I wish you the best.
Thank you. Thanks again, Jeff.
All right, thank you. And that is a big round of applause for Lou. And before I have some other people in, I need to catch up on some super thanks because I don't want them to know that I want them to be acknowledged. Sound Therapy, thank you so much for that. I appreciate the super thanks. And Marine Mama 62, thank you so much for that super thanks. We really appreciate it. And it says, thank you, Jeff and Mara. Love your channel. Glad it's growing. Antoinetta Dimano, thank you so much for that super thanks. We really appreciate it. And I'm trying to find one more. And it was at the beginning. And it was D? Oh, D. Thank you so much for the super thanks. We really appreciate it. All right, so let's get back here. And that happened to do that. So I got to find myself again. There I am. Let's bring in Rhonda. And see what Rhonda's up to. press to start video. And again, if you're new here, I just said this earlier, but there are more people here now. If you want to join me, all you have to do is go to Zoom, click join a meeting, and then below there is, in the description, you can see the room ID and you can also see the passcode. So you just enter those things and here you will be. Rhonda. I thought that was you. Can you hear me?
I can.
Rhonda from Montana, right?
Yes.
See, I've memorized you.
Thank you. It's been a while.
Yeah, how have you been?
Good, good. Well, a lot of crazy things happening, but
Like what?
I'm a supernatural magnet, I think. I did write you guys a song, but I can't sing.
Oh, well, that's okay.
But
Do you play it? You sing and play guitar or what?
I can a little bit, but
Well,
I
you
don't
can,
have a guitar.
you can, if you don't want to sing, you're welcome to just read the lyrics.
That's what I was thinking. Okay, well,
would be
maybe
awesome.
a little. And then everybody was asking, well, what kind of music is it? And I wanted it to be a music like that includes everything, because I think our supernatural world is all inclusive. So I wanted to, my first music I ever grew up with in the late 60s, Motown. And rock and roll. Anyways, and then, but we have to have it all. But I want to say the first line, Jeff and Mara are supernatural.
Yeah.
We're not just paranormal.
That's great.
Cool. And then, I'll have to work on my lyrics a little bit here. I think I lost a page. But so I did have supernatural things. I'll tell you, last October, I flew off the interstate off of I-70 in Utah at over 70 miles an hour, hit a pothole on the interstate.
Wow.
And it jilted. I had $1,000 tires on my Chevy Silverado. And my Chevy Silverado and the Goodyear tires, I think, partially saved my life. Because I went off the road. I tried to hold on and keep it on the road. And when I went off to the side of the road, I hit what saved me too, the sagebrush. I hit that sagebrush and it catapulted me. I went airborne at over 70 miles an hour, did a full flip off the interstate, landed on my wheels.
Wow.
In my seat, the windows shattered, the truck was still running. I was like, oh, geez, it might blow. Shut the truck off. I actually got out of the truck. The only thing, I had a full load in the back, another thing that saved my life. Or I would have rolled more, I think. But the truck was running. I shut it off. I jumped out and got my cooler out of the back. The only thing that flew out of the back, I was strapped on pretty good. And so I felt like I was flying for about a week or two after that. The momentum of flying like that, it kind of reminded me of my near-death experience thing back on, I think it was the first live stream that I talked about that when I got sucked in the light. And that's why I made a couple comments about last night's podcast, because my experience, I got sucked in the light and there was nothing else. There was no tunnel. There was no nothing. Just like in the light and back out of it. So anyways.
Do you think that you had some kind of, like your guide or entity or angel that kept you from getting in serious trauma, with this accident?
I'll tell you who I think maybe was probably saved me was, and it's a really sad story, but about almost 3 years ago, my brother Joe passed away in Florida unexpectedly. So my brother Joe, I'm sure, was there looking over me. And I'm still so sad about losing my brother. And then I had my Uncle Butchie that got killed in Vietnam. I think he's watched over me all my life. Yeah.
Well, I hope you will watch tomorrow night's podcast because it is super in depth about astral travel, the couple different places, the next level, the next realm after this, I guess you would call it. Well, the first realm after this is basically kind of like a copy of this. The next one is like a place where we go to whatever we think, we create that whole reality. And what was amazing is that this guest was telling me that some people die suddenly and don't even realize that they're dead, and they create this world in that reality and continue on living for a while. They think that they're still alive, but they create the same reality over there. And then some of them we were also kind of talking about will come back. Some of them, they just love us, and some of them have addictions, but some of them are still coming back here and being with us as well. So maybe it is just like you were saying, maybe your brother's looking after you.
I'm sure he is. And yeah, we'll have to, it's been great, all the shows and everything. It's really helping you to have a really you probably have the best insights about all of this than many experts, more than experts.
Well, probably because I do it every day. When you do it
Jeff, your dream, I think it really means something. And sometimes it takes, 20, 30, 40 years to all the pieces, the puzzle pieces for us to find them.
You know, what's interesting about this podcast is that I think a lot of people in the audience are people that are searching for the truth. Yes, there's a lot of positive things that you get from this podcast and a lot of things that are helpful to people's lives, but it's a little bit deeper than that, this podcast, because the way that I've set it up, I think forces people to have an open mind, and there's so many different guests that come on that sometimes they contradict each other.
Yeah, and I will have to say something about the some of the religious commentary, because I just don't like anyone to try to force anyone to believe what they believe. Like, something that I notice happens with people when they have a supernatural experience, and over many years, and many different even yogis or whatever, that it's like I had a divine experience, and they're really profound experiences. And then it's like, well, I know all the answers. My experience is the way it is. And without realizing that there's millions of them. The world is infinite, and in infinite perspectives, but it comes down to one essence, and we're all one down in our true essence. And anyways, I wish everybody a happy Easter, and be well, and spread love in the world. Lord knows we need it.
All right. Well, Rhonda, thank you so much for coming. Glad you're back. Don't be a stranger.
For having me. I was scared because I didn't want to get called a demon or something.
Oh, come on.
I'm sensitive.
Oh.
Sometimes when I'm not beating people up.
All right, Rhonda, I got to run to the next person. You take care and have a happy Easter.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. And there's a big round of applause for Rhonda. Next up is Samsung SMS136DL. And we'll see who that is. All right, so here we are. It's been busy tonight, which is great. And hey, how's it going?
Hey, how you doing?
Great. How are you this evening?
I'm doing well. I don't know if you guys lose it, but I sent a super sticker on the first time you started to broadcast like 30 minutes ago, and then it came out. Do you lose it, or
I
do you...
probably lost that, but thank you so much for that.
Okay, well, I'll resend another one.
That's okay. No, you don't, it's not necessary. I just want to say thank you for that. I really appreciate it. I mean, wherever it went to, I would assuming it still got counted for in YouTube.
Oh, okay. I'm just making sure that you still get it, that
right.
You didn't lose it because the show ended up canceling out or whatever.
Yeah, I messed something up, so I stopped it and restarted it. So that's what it is. Every now and then I make mistakes here every now and then, and I have to stop and start, or things go wrong, but that's okay. We just keep going.
All righty then.
All right. Well, what do you got to share with us tonight?
I wanted to give you another supernatural experience that I had, and so this was back in my early 20s. I had a 3-year-old son, and he ended up drowning in a swimming pool that was like literally right outside my back door. And the landlords lived on the property too. They lived in the house, and we lived in a duplex that was on the property. So he ended up drowning in this swimming pool, and now I had not, like, I went through a lot as a child. Okay, so I know that in your early 20s, it sounds like you might be like mature enough to handle a situation like that, but I was definitely developmentally delayed. Like, I had no clue what to do, and I was in mid conversation, like this full conversation with my brother who rented the other side of the duplex, and I wasn't paying attention, and he ended up drowning. And I turned around and looked over my shoulder to check on him, and he was floating on the top of the water. So me and my brother ran out there, and it took both of us to pull his body out of the water. So his whole body at 3 years old was like full of water. And so I'm down on my knees, and my brother just lays my son in my lap, and I don't know. I look up at him, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. You know, of course, in a panic, I'm a mom, and my kid just drowned. And he had no heartbeat. He had no pulse. His eyes were blue. His eyelids were blue. His lips were blue. His fingers were blue. Like, he was dead. There was no life in this child. And so my brother takes off running, and I don't know why he took off running. I just thought that he took off running because he was scared maybe cops were going to be coming, and he probably had like something illegal in his apartment, you know what I mean? So I thought he just abandoned me. So here I got my child, my dead child, laying in my arms, and I have no idea what to do. And what was weird that happened, and now I'm learning by watching these NDEs, like how I used to describe it when I would talk about it, is what happened is, you know, I got my kid laying in my arms here, and I look up, and I actually lived in a neighborhood where there were houses all the way around me. So it wasn't like I couldn't scream and get help. But what happened is when I looked up to scream for help, you ever seen a scary movie where somebody's going, this is how I used to describe it, but I'm going to describe it a different way. You see a scary movie and somebody's running down a hallway, and the hallway just goes boop, 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 and it just keeps going, and it looks like it's so far away, like it never ends. Well, when I looked up, my vision went whoop, 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 and it looked like all the houses were so far away that there was no way anybody was going to hear me if I yelled for help. And instantly, I didn't know what to do. And the only thing that I could think of doing was to scream up to the sky. And I was like, please show me what to do, you know, in a panic. And as crazy as this might sound, literally an audible voice. Now, I've only heard an audible voice twice, but an audible voice spoke to me. And I don't know if it was an angel. I don't know if it was God. I don't know who it was, but an full-blown audible voice with a melon tone, like calm, like I was panicked, but the voice wasn't. Came to me and began to speak to me to tell me what to do to help my little boy. And I just listened to the instructions and did everything that the instructions said, and I ended up reviving my son back to life.
It's amazing.
And yeah, it is amazing. You have no idea. I called the radio station because they were doing some kind of thing, and I had to tell them the story because it was so mind-blowing. But what I think that hallway thing that went woo, 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 woo in my vision, I think it's the ripple effect that everybody talks about. They say that something happens and it makes this ripple effect, and they see this ripple effect. Well, I think that's what it was. It was like this my vision, I looked up and the ripple effect was like blah, 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 blah. But what ended up happening is my brother was calling the ambulance and I didn't know that. So as soon as I got my little boy back to life, which how the process happened was when he started to come alive, his eyes actually rolled in the back of his head. And I actually heard another audible voice that said to me, "Up, he's dead now. That's it. He's for sure dead now." Because it, like the seeing his eyes roll back in his head, I thought I can't even explain it. It was like when I heard that other voice say, he's dead, I lost it. I just started panicking, screaming, just going like nuts because I thought that I did what the voice told me to do and he's coming back to life, but yet his eyes rolled in his head and I hear this other voice say he's dead now. You know what I mean? It was such a horrible but like amazing experience because my little boy did come back to life, and at the exact time of my little boy coming back to life, the ambulance got there. They had they started checking him out, and they ended up helicopter flying him to the hospital that was up in Fort Myers. And they did all the tests on him, that whatever the tests are that they do at a hospital for a drowned victim, and he passed everything 100%, like nothing even happened. And so the whole thing ended up turning out wonderful, but it was a traumatic experience. But the fact that I could not wrap my head around the voice that led me through bringing my little boy back to life. Like it was loud and clear, like you and I talking right now, it was loud and clear. And it told me everything that I had to do to bring him back to life. And I did. I brought him back to life.
What did that voice sound like?
It was definitely male, and it was very it was calming. Like I was hysterical, but the voice was like a voice like nothing really is going on right now. Everything's fine, it was just such a calming, like I instantly, as soon as it started speaking to me, I instantly like zoned right into this voice. And that's all I could see, hear, smell, taste was that voice. It was almost like I entered into another realm for a moment in time. But in that realm, there was that entity, and then there was this other entity that spoke. As soon as I saw my baby's eyes roll back in his head, it spoke, and instantly, like, panic and terror just, like, ripped through me. But as I'm panicking and terror's coming through me, noises started to come out of his mouth. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's coming back to life. You know what I mean? Like it was such a mind-blowing experience. And I definitely was in some realm for a moment in time while that activity was going on.
Did the other voice sound completely different from the first one?
Oh yeah, definitely. It was a taunting voice, like it was like happy that he's he's dead.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it was like, oh, he's dead now. You know what I mean? Like it was like it was a voice that was almost happy that it achieved what it wanted to do. It wanted to terrorize me, and it wanted to take my little boy away from me. You know what I mean? That's the only way it was happy about it.
Was it also male?
It was male. Both voices were definitely male.
The first voice, who do you think that was?
Well, the only thing that I could think of at that time was God. But the thing is I had always communicated with God. I mean, that the name God doesn't even give it justice, because it is just so beyond that. But to give it a human name, I guess, or a English name, is God. And the thing is I've always, like I told you the last time, like, I've always had communication with the Father. I've always communicated since I was a little tiny girl, but it was always telepathic. Like, it was always, I would sometimes speak out loud, but the Father would speak to me in my mind, like telepathically. That was the first time that I heard like a voice out loud. So I have to assume it was God, but I can't say 100% sure because I've never heard the voice before.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I've had some amazing experiences that I'll be calling you next Saturday.
All right, I was going to say, we'll see you back next Saturday.
Yes.
Well, well, thank you so much for coming and sharing that with us. We really appreciate it, and have a happy Easter.
Yes, you too. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Have a good night. And we'll give her a big round of applause. All right, well, I need to catch up on all these super thanks. So let me go back here while I'm doing that. I don't know if you pronounce it Choi or Che. Might be a Korean name, Che. Jay Choi. I'll just say Jay. Thank you so much for that super thanks. We really appreciate it. And it says, hello, Jeff and Mara, and all of you beautiful souls. And then the next one is from Michelle, and it says goal. And Michelle, thank you very much for that super thanks. And I think there's a few more. Beth, and I can't catch the last name. What was it? Beth. Oh. Beth. Okay, Beth Thur. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, but thank you so much for that super thanks. And it says thank you. And then we got Sound Therapy. Thank you for that super thanks, Sound Therapy. And then it's Beth again. Oh, Beth said so thanks again, Beth. And it says thank you too. I thought there was one more too. And it says thank you, Jeff. And I guess that's it. I guess I'm caught up. All right, our next guest is Mr. Cake. Stephen Cake. We'll see what he's up to. Maybe I should put this up so I can see where he's at. Joining. All right, he's halfway here. Asked to start video. We'll put that on. And if you also would like to join, all you have to do is go to Zoom, click join a meeting, and then in the description below is the room ID as well as the passcode. So it's pretty easy. Well, hello there.
Well, hello.
Hello, Obi-Wan. How are you?
Well, hello. I hope you're not feeling blue like I am. I've just had this orb following me around the whole day.
Well, we need to bring...
It's very depressing and odd.
We need a gold one.
We need more light energy. The green energy makes me feel very good. So I use the green energy ball every day, 3 times on the head. Makes me feel good.
Don't you have other colors?
Well, the females out there, the pink ball. This is what I do to feel my feminine energy.
Welcome. How are you, Stephen, this week?
Can you hear me out there?
I can. You're a little bit delayed.
Well, I'm hanging in there, Jeff.
You're a little bit. You're walk to another room, maybe. Your cell phone's a little laggy today.
I don't think walking to another room will do anything.
You don't?
How about yelling up at God? How about that? What? Oh, God, where are you?
Well,
that's what I yell up or down, one or the other.
One way or another. Did you get a haircut?
Well, I cut my own hair.
Looks good. You did a good job.
Thank you.
Isn't it difficult to do that? How do you do that?
Scissors and a mirror.
Scissors,
I don't know.
You do a great. I'm sure I would just butcher my hair if I tried it.
It's not as hard as you think. It's a lot of feeling. You just make sure it's. It feels great. Feels great. I love it. I love it. I love it. But you know what else I love? Apartments.com. You gotta head out there and do a little dinosaur. Jurassic Park 5 is coming out soon. I'll be riding a T-Rex. I love it.
So what's new with you this week, Stephen?
Besides sitting in a room and moping around, so I have I call them the mind jackers now.
The mind jackers.
Yeah, I don't know what else to call them because they said they're just giving people what they want, the beliefs that they want. And I said, whatever represents the truth, because there is no truth when it comes to belief systems. You just got to believe. So that's why because I tried to figure it out. Because you know how you say you're looking for the truth, and I go, this is what they say. You just believe. Because I said I was stupid for believing that. Because I used to believe in different things. And they said, no, you just believed it. So you're not stupid for just believing something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But
are you saying that it doesn't?
I have discussions all the time. I do these walk and talk kind of.
All right, you're back. I was going to say, are you saying that there is no truth and basically whatever you believe in, that's true for you, and that's your truth, and that's it. You can believe in whatever you want; it's going to be true for you.
Well, this is how they explain it to me. Yeah, there's just reality, and it can't be explained because there's no explanation. That means we need a belief because people want to find out what the truth is, but we'll never find it. And we're just being fed information. Like we think, oh, this is like, I thought kinesiology, giving me the truth. Or some people do dowsing or remote viewing or whatever. But you're getting up to that. I asked, I said, well, what read a book on it. I guess they go, here's some beliefs you can have. We can Bugman built it or something. I don't know what. When I had the conversation with God the Father, I thought I was talking to God, and it's phenomenon. It's like, and they put me through a whole process, like the enlightenment process. Mm-hmm. Mary was talking to me, and it was great. You never even want to leave when you're hearing that voice. And I said, like, there's just on switches for. But they can switch.
Stephen, if you can hear me.
That's the really thing that we can never figure out. There's no, because I said, who's moving my bed? Who? I thought I had spirit with me. Don't press my bed. I can feel a hand.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you try something for me? Because I'm missing about half of what you're saying. It's just super.
Yes, I hear you.
It's one of these days where it's like you're super, super laggy, and we're not in any hurry here, and there's no one in line. So what if you leave and then come right back, and maybe we'll establish a better connection? It's kind of like a phone call. Sometimes I'll call someone and I'll say, let me just hang up and call you right back.
Okay, we can try it.
Then why don't you hang up and call me right back? And we'll see if we can get it to work better. I'll be here.
Try.
I'm not going anywhere.
If I can figure it out here.
And I don't want to make you have to leave, because if I make you leave, then we've had a problem before where people can't get back in. So I want to have you leave on your own and then try to get back in. And while you're doing that, I need to I'll catch up on a couple super thanks. Jay Kerr, thank you so much for that super thanks. And it says, keep up the inspiring work, Jeff. So thank you for that. And Steven's still here. I thought he was going to leave and come back. Maybe it's even lagging on that. And I thought there was one more. Wasn't there one more? We did that one, but I thought 2 more came in. I guess not. All right, so there he goes. And maybe when he gets back in, it'll be a lot better, because it was really laggy and I was missing at least half of what he was saying. Do any of you guys use Zoom? And while we're waiting for them, it's going to be a delay, unfortunately. We have to wait a minute for him to get back. But for those of you who do use Zoom, you see all these little apps it says on the side. Do you know what these do? All right, here's Steven. Let's see. It'll work this time. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think the smiley faces may put these smiley faces around you.
Let's hope you can hear me now.
Welcome back. Yeah, it's working. See, it's so much better now.
Why restarted the phone?
Oh, okay. Well, that's all we needed. Good thinking. So I missed like at least half of everything you were saying, and so that's why I had to bring you back, because I missed it all. But I don't know where we should.
Basically, yeah, I've been put through I call the enlightenment process, and so they said, I thought I was becoming enlightened. I thought I was one with God, and they were doing it. It wasn't just me. I said, it wasn't just me anymore. It's me and God. Like God came into me, and they could give me energy, and they could control my voice. Like I had bad teeth, and they just took over my voice. Like at one point, like this went on for months and months. And I wasn't on, they didn't want me even coming on your show at that point. And like, I'm just saying what I believed at the time. Did you get that point where I said, oh, I was so stupid for believing that? And they said, no, you believed it. You're not stupid. People believe lots of things. Doesn't mean they're stupid. Right. So it's like the belief systems are, reality can't be explained. So we just have to believe something.
So, and usually, are you saying are you then just creating your own beliefs at this point?
Well, it's like what we want. So I wanted whatever would represent the truths, and there is nothing, there is no truth. So they have to just give me a belief system that represents the truth. But they said it's about doing what you want, because they said, are you doing what you want in life? And so I want to, there's a lot of things I'd like to do. Let's just say that. And so I call it the mind jackers. They're in my mind now. So it's not me anymore. I'm not like I thought I was by myself, but they invaded. So it's now they have multiple different voices. They talk to me, and they let me. So sometimes I'll just take over my voice just like that. So they get very sassy and very naughty. And they're like, Jeff, you're a gorgeous man. I love your haircut. You're special to me. And I love the audience. I love you all. You're all special. Mwah. I love you. See, they kind of take me over like that. And I say, who's doing that? And they say, no one. I say, who's moving my bed? Because it's like I experienced all this phenomenon. And they say, who's doing it? And they say, no one. It's reality and it's phenomenon. So that's how they explain it to me. And that we put a belief to it. So let's say you have a dream where I thought my uncle was talking to me. And now I just think that there's this greater mind. I call it the mind interface. So we have our mind, and then there's a greater mind that we don't even know is there, but they can show up, and that's how we can see visions, dreams. They can have me have a conversation. I mentioned this with Joe Rogan or anyone I want. They can just have me. They can just start it up. They had me talk to a judge. They had me talk to a therapist. They had me talk to different people.
Now, when you're saying a greater mind, it sounds like to me you're referring to your higher self.
Yeah. Well, no one knows what it is. You can call it your higher self. You can call it the consciousness, the super consciousness. You can call it whatever. It's like a greater. That's how I describe it. And there's like levels. Like I don't know how real, but at one point they showed me they could make it so I could hear voices like that sound somewhat real. But usually they just talk to me in my mind. Usually it's just in my mind. And at first they did visuals. So it's like I was talking to Mary. Mary was to my right, and Father was in front of me, and then Jesus was on my left. And then when they put me in the battles, they put me into these battles. Archangel Michael was on my left, and he was tough and battle hardened. And I had to be a commander, and I thought I was bringing about world peace. So when I was in this, I thought we lived in a dual world. That the blessings we said here helped that world, and that world fought the demons, and then like it was like a dual world. But then we were in a game world scenario. So this world would eventually end. We'd go back out, and it was kind of like the end of the movie Contact, where they said nobody knows who built this. Nobody knows. It's just a system that's just there, and no one knows. It's just like reality. We can't ever explain it. And when I ask, I don't have a name for it, and I don't know anyone who's ever experienced this. I call it the mind jackers, because I say everyone's talking to their spirit guides, their archangels, Jesus, God. I just got invaded by the mind. That's what they left me with here.
Well, it's interesting because you use the word they, but then you said they is nobody.
Yeah.
But then you're still using the word they.
That's right, because it can't be explained. I don't know how else to explain it other than it's multiple different voices that are in a constant dialogue with me. If I'm doing something loving, it's not like I say it's like if I'm loving, I'm resting, or I'm doing something productive, then they kind of lay down low. But if I'm just sitting in my room, you're naughty, Steven. You're very naughty. We have to teach you a lesson. Yeah, if people haven't seen my walk and talks, they should watch them, because it's like I talked for about a half an hour about my life, about all and how they correct me, how they're mainly correcting my language. And like I say, like, you can't win a debate with God, but sometimes they let you, because if I say it's God, that's just how it comes across to me. It's like it's phenomenon. It's who can do this. They say there is no God, and if there was a God, maybe they would do something. But reality is all we got, and they keep explaining like that.
We've had quite a few videos about this being all a simulation. Do you think this reality is just a simulation, and the simulation is the one that's mind-jacking you?
No one will know. They said no one can figure this out. And when we're under a belief system, it's like we can't see out of it either. So it's like when I believed we were in the game world, I really believed that. And they were telling me about how this guy had a game world. And then in the next game, it could be this. We're in the Earth world scenario, and world peace was the win. That was the win. We had to bring about world peace. Destruction was the normal way. They said usually it ends in a destruction scenario, because everyone trying to get what they want, but no one can ever do it. So they all start butting heads. That's why it's like, I always say it's like being nice to people is a good thing, because hey, like I benefit you, you pat my back, I pat your back. It's like that. The world is better like that than just headbutting, fighting. And
I agree. Now, for those who are new here and have never seen your channel, your YouTube channel is called Stephen Cake, correct?
Yeah.
Just like written right here, Steve, but it's Stephen, not Steve Cake. I'm just showing your name, Stephen with an N, Cake. And not only does he do walk and talk videos, he does do juggling videos, he does orb videos, he does dancing videos.
Yes, I do walk and talk with Christopher Walken. He's nuts. He's crazy.
And
I do like 150 impressions. And last September, that's when they changed me. So if you look at my old videos, like there's a dramatic change around late September.
That's interesting. Yeah. I didn't know that.
Dramatic change. I was on my hands and knees begging God. So we don't know how it works, because like sometimes something gets answered.
Mm-hmm.
They said my mother prays to God for someone to help me, and they say, why don't you help her? So we have these kind of dialogues, like they're talking to them, but they can't hear it. See, it's just, because the first thing they told me is, they said, we've always talked to you, it's your intuition. So that's like the greater mind is always there, but they also, it's your life type of thing. You know, it's like, they're not going to demand you do something, but they're going to say, is this what you want to do? Is this benefiting you?
What?
Yeah. Is this a good decision?
Oh.
Yeah. That's how they talk, because they're, you know, they can show up as any way they want. You know, Mary, like I said, I had like at least 2 months of demons tormenting me.
Wow.
Yeah, because
I
they wanted me
remember
to
when
be a
you
holy man.
well, I remember when you had Mother Mary and God with you.
Yes. And so I had to pray, like, and this is what I think is like, you know how they say, like, oh, we get, like, psychics will say we get 80% right. It's like, there's no system that's perfect. Like, there's always going to be some kind of, I had a joke. I said, God plays both sides of the field. And they showed me in the mind interface, a coach grabbing a football player by the helmet and says, you got to get out there and play both sides of that field. You know, so they make it funny for me.
Well, Stephen, I've got to do what I've got to do. I've got 2 people waiting on me.
Right, you know, hope Yoko Ono's that one of those people.
And by the way, Kim says, before I go, Kim says that you remind her of Prince Charming.
Thank you, darling. Prince Charming is here for you. I love you very much.
All right, Stephen. We love you. God bless you, and have a great evening. Bye-bye. That was Stephen. And we'll give him a round of applause. All right, next up is Laura, and then Linda. And she should be here.
Hi.
Hi, Laura. I can hear you, and now I can see you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
All
Really
right.
appreciate it.
Yes. All right. Where are you zooming from?
Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix. All right. That's great. Well, what do you have to share with us?
Well, what I have to share is something that is, it's something that I don't understand. I had a lot of situations that were really weird in my life since I was a kid. I was the kid that remember past lives.
Mm-hmm.
In a Catholic school and punished by the nuns all the time because
Wow.
yeah. So anyways, encounters, extraterrestrials, you name it. I was born in Peru, and in Peru, I think things are kind of more common than here. But anyways, I had 2 things that happened to me that were really out of this world. One day, and I have told you this before, I had this vision in a normal day, stressful day. I was, just having a normal day. And I had the vision that it's only described by your ND ears. And that's what I want to know what's happening, because I'm not dead. I didn't die. And I was out of my body, and I was watching all these incredible lights. It was like all the people, all the humans were lights, and it was like infinite lights. It was like curtains of infinite lights. And actually, I'm an artist, so I painted it because it was so shocking and so amazing. The vision was incredible. So I don't know if you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
It
looks really cool.
This is the vision. And not only that, the vision was very intense, but also actually, I think that the most intense thing was just to feel the love that I was feeling for all these lights. They were like my children. The only way that I can describe it, it was like this love that I have never felt, not even for a little, not even when my kids were born. Because to me, it was like, I love each one of these lights, like they were my little babies, and I needed to protect them, I love them, and take care of them. And there were millions. Like it was like this was just a little tiny part, and there was like millions of curtains. And then that's when I started wondering what happened to me, and I started like a search, and that was like around 5 years ago, maybe a little bit more. And actually I started a search, a spiritual search, and things started happening to me. And anyways, the second time that I experienced this, actually it was last Tuesday. So I'm still in shock, and I'm gonna try not to cry, because it was absolutely amazing. I just came back home. I have 2 jobs. I'm a single mom, so I work really hard. 2 jobs. Came back home. I was so tired, and then I saw this bird that had like this little bird baby that had fallen down from the nest. So I decided to take this bird to this place that they will take care of it. I had to drive. It was like an extra, I don't know, like 40 minutes drive. And I was regretting my decision. But I have been in Buddhism for a while. And, you know, one of the vows that I took was never leave any being, never leave them alone. So I just decided, you know, I'm going to just take advantage of this time, and I'm going to meditate a little, or I am going to just, you know, drive. It's a long drive. I'm stuck in traffic. And I started like doing the taking and giving. Taking and giving in Buddhism is what they think that Christ did on the cross, taking the pain and releasing it within himself and forgiving everybody, you know. So that's kind of a taking and giving. You just take like all the suffering and the negativity of others, and then you transform it, and you just give love and peace. And I was like watching all these cars stuck in traffic, and I was thinking, okay, everybody has their own suffering, and everybody has their own, you know, they're in a hurry to get home, and all of them are tired. And I started developing compassion. So best practice is like to develop compassion in your heart and feel it very deeply. And I was doing that, and I had, you know, the little bird like freaking out in a little box, and suddenly I'm driving, and I went again off my body. But this time, I have to say, really, really wrong timing for this to happen to me, because I'm driving a car. So I this time it was not the feeling of I was loving all these lights. Actually, there was no lights. Actually, there was nothing. It was just this white light, absolutely big, white, intense light. And my body was gone. Like I was melted into the light with all of these beings. And I could feel that there was all of these beings there in this beautiful light. But the feeling was that they loved me. And it's the first time in my life that I feel loved like that. And the love was this love that I cannot describe with words. I cannot describe it. It was so absolutely beautiful, like unconditional, non-judgmental at all. It was this like just love. It was, I think, a second or a couple seconds. And then I was back in my body and the car, you know, and I'm like, and I started crying. I started crying, because though that small moment for me was a long time. And also it was so intense, like the feeling was so intense. And I was crying because I was thinking, why do I have to be here? Why do I have to be back in this body? Like I felt exactly what your NDers, they say that they feel after coming back, trapped in a body. Like it's uncomfortable. It takes a while to get used to it again after being nothing, and to being nothing and everything at the same time, and to being like you know, mixed with all these other beings. And it has been hard, like this week and a half. It has been very, very hard for me, because I was I was doing great, and suddenly I have depression, and suddenly I'm angry. I'm angry instead of being happy. Like I'm not understanding why I cannot be happy with what happened, but why am I angry? And I'm like dreading it. Like I'm wondering, why do I have to be in this body when I know that there's something that is so much beautiful and perfect and non-suffering at all?
I have a video that I'm going to be posting tomorrow night. It's a man from the Monroe Institute. I don't know if you're aware of the Monroe Institute, but Robert Monroe is the one that has done all this research with using binaural beats and separating the parts of your brain and getting past the left brain into your right brain. And we went into very detailed discussion about out-of-body traveling, and I can't explain it as beautifully as he did, but what I can tell you, and it's even you're even doing it a lot of times a little bit when you're driving and you don't even realize it. For example, when you're driving, if you're driving 30 or 45 minutes or whatever it is, sometimes you drive somewhere. Sometimes you drive somewhere. That was weird. Did I? Oh, you heard it too. It wasn't just me. Anyways, you can be driving somewhere and you just all of a sudden you're there and you don't even realize that you're there. It's like
you're in autopilot.
Right. So he was talking about that really going out of body is kind of like going out of phase into other frequencies. And it's kind of like a radio, like this realm is, 96.5. But when you change your frequency and sometimes you peel out of your body, you actually have that experience of peeling out of your body, or sometimes you're just instantly in another realm and now you're at 98.7. So it sounds like even while you were driving, you just kind of got into that monotonous zone of driving and you went to another realm for a few seconds and then you were back.
Yeah, the thing that is interesting is that I have practiced meditation for a long time. I have been like in my spiritual search for a while, and when this happened, it's not when I'm in meditation or in a deep meditation. Actually, I was trying to be very present in the present moment, looking at all the cars around me, thinking like developing compassion towards everybody else. And then that happened.
Well, maybe in the act of that, being compassionate is actually what changed your frequency, not like trying to force yourself. I'm not saying you were, but forcing yourself to meditate or forcing yourself to try to leave your body, but the actual compassion is what changed your frequency.
Yeah, I truly think that there must be something with that. And, I should be so happy about that. I mean, I should be so happy that I had that experience, but actually, I don't know how many years live after, touching that perfection and that wisdom and that beauty. And, how do you come back and you just continue your daily life? This time it has been really hard for me. It has been a really hard week and a half. I haven't been able to even go to work.
I was going to ask you if you've painted that, but I guess there would really be nothing to paint because it would just be all white.
Exactly. It was so white. It was so light. And the feeling was, so what it was like really interesting is that this time I didn't feel the love from me. It was like I was loved. I was loved, accepted for the first time unconditionally. It was home. So when I came back, I was crying hysterically, which doesn't happen often.
Right. Well, it sounds like you had an amazing experience.
It was amazing. I would like to know, actually, I would like to connect if there's any other person that had like an experience like that looks like an NDE, but actually didn't happen. My friends think that I died for a few seconds. They think that I had a heart attack or something.
Well, if you're up for it, you can give out your email address or anything if people want to connect with you and talk to you about it. And I also recommend joining the Discord.
Yeah,
what's
definitely.
What's the best way to connect with you?
My email is art@laurathurban.com, is LAURA THURBON.com, or you can look for me at Laura Muralist. Muralist, and Muralist.
I think that we chatted a little bit on Instagram. You reached out to me, right? And you are an artist. Do you have any other of your art that you can show us besides that painting that you just did?
Oh gosh, I have a ton of art all around me, but you don't want to see my area because it's messed up.
All right. Well, I guess people can see it on Instagram if they like, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have I love Arizona. The Arizona.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm a muralist more than anything. So I do the big murals, public murals in the street.
Oh wow.
So that's what I do. So yeah, yep.
That's awesome. Well, Laura, I have to run. I've got 2 people waiting on you, but thank you so much for coming and sharing your experiences with you.
Thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
And my wife says you look beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, you guys are such a wonderful team.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
And that was, I hope she heard that round of applause. Don't report. Wow, we got a bunch of people here. Oh, and Mika's here. We'll do a quick break for Mika. She's got her dress on. And while we're waiting to get Linda in here, Mika can come model her new dress. This is her new dress for Easter. She's got a nice little rose, a nice little flower on it.
Hey, Jeff.
Hey, bud. I'm not used to seeing you under Linda. Is that your girlfriend's channel?
My laptop's still not working, so I'm using her laptop.
Oh, that's all right. So it looks like it's nice and sunny over there in San Diego.
Yeah, it's nice over here today.
All right. What's going on? Did you get the castle yet or what?
Not yet, man. Well done.
For those who haven't seen him before, we've been talking about him getting a castle, and we're waiting for that.
Yeah, we're trying to manifest it with the law of attraction. So.
Okay, let me ask you this. Are you here to propose live on the podcast?
Oh, no, not today, man.
All right, I'm sorry if I put you on the spot.
Okay.
We talked about it before.
I know.
All right, well, what do you got to share with us today?
Linda says hello.
Hi, Jeff.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How's it going?
Great. Been a busy night.
Yeah.
Busy night.
That's good.
Now, have you...
Even though it's Easter weekend, yeah.
Yes. Have you had...
Golden bunnies.
Let me ask you this. Have you had any paranormal experiences?
No. I'm just into the magic and more manifestation and, the energy.
Have you manifested anything in your life?
Well, we're about to manifest big, so we're gonna let you know once it all has unfolded.
That'll be awesome.
But it's a big, yeah. We're in it every day, and we're gonna tell you all about it.
Well, we're waiting for it.
We
I asked him.
A few more months, the most, and then we're gonna tell it all.
Now you are going to relocate over to Europe?
Yes.
Didn't you guys announce that last time that you're moving?
Yeah, we're going to...
Yeah, we're going to Stockholm, Sweden.
Awesome. And you're from Sweden, right? Stockholm?
Yes. I've been here about half my life, but ready to move back.
Well...
So, it's good.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'll let you know again, and then I'll let Raphael tell you about his... I'm more normal. I'm the normal one.
Okay.
Funny. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, I'll let him focus, okay?
All right, Raphael.
We'll talk later.
Okay.
Bye, Jeff.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Thank you, Jeff. I was actually going to talk about soul contracts today, but I think I changed my topic.
Oh, really?
Listening to Laura, because I know that she was talking about out-of-body experiences. So
yeah.
I think I'd rather talk about that so that can help her. And
all right. What
in general?
What advice do you have for her?
Well, I mean, as far as advice, I mean, I would just probably like what she mentioned, like on the compassion, like I think that's the bridge to awaken, start having your awakening and start having all these experiences. It really is the compassion, because for me, my experience as well, how I started having out of body experiences, I started volunteering with the visually impaired people in Germany when I lived in Germany. And so I started doing a lot of volunteer work with people with learning disabilities and visually impaired. And the visually impaired, friends that I met, they, about 3 of them, they used to have out of body experiences. And then they would start telling me about it. And so I just thought it was fascinating. And I was like, wow, you guys have out of body experiences? Like, yeah. And then we know what you look like because we come out of our bodies and then we can see you. And I was just like, wow, that's pretty fascinating. So after that, then I started having my experiences. The first time I had my first out of body experience, I went for a run in the park there in Germany. And then one of the visually impaired, my friends, he came to my mind, and somehow I had a vision that he had a son, a baby, which he didn't, but I had a vision like he had a son, a baby, and then I felt like a lot of compassion for him, and I remember I stopped running, and then I just kind of started crying, just because I was like, I really wish that for him, and I kind of asked God, the universe, saying, if you only were going to give me one gift, in life, I don't want that gift. Please give it to him. Like, give him that gift to be a father one day, And when I said that, and I was just coming out of my heart, the compassion, that's when I left my body for the very first time, So, and then I came back. That was besides my near-death experience. That was before, but then that was kind of like the beginning of having out-of-body experiences. And I remember leaving my body just, in the park, and I was standing and I left my body. And then I was scared. So then I was like trying to go in, and then I pushed myself kind of like I was trying to go like this and try to go down, down my body, and I finally went down. And then after that, I would start leaving my body. I was, walking, and I was leaving my body. And then I was in the metro, and I was sitting down, and I would leave my body. My body was up there and see myself. And so I think there's like stages that we go through out of body experiences where. Whereas in my room as well, I remember one time I was in my room reading a book, and it was really fascinating because I came out of my body, and then I remember looking at my body, and I turned around and I saw my body, and I'm like, no way. And then at that moment, I was like, okay, wait a minute. If Raphael is there in the bed, what am I? So then I looked at myself, and then all I saw this energy, like arms of like with layers of energies, and then I tried to put those arms. They were kind of arms, but no physical bodies, but just energy fields. And I tried to put them together, and then they went through each other, because I didn't have a body. And then I tried to do them again, and they went through each other. And then I went back inside my body, and it was really fascinating because I remember just being really appreciated, like my body, I remember touching my face because I couldn't touch it when I tried with my astral body, touching myself. I couldn't touch, So when I came back, and I just touched my face, and I was like so happy. And then I went into the fridge, and I remember drinking some wine and just eating some food. And it really made me appreciate more like just having a body, So then, there's like the first stages that you go through. Then you live in your house, maybe you live in your room. And then the next stage after that, like, so this is maybe for Laura, for anybody that's, start having out of body experiences. They're gradual. So that's like the first stage is like leaving your body in your room or, stuff like that. And then the next stage is like you start traveling in having out of body experiences, astral projecting to different parts of the planet. So then I remember I was actually driving my car. And then I had an out of body experience, and I travel you travel like in a wormhole. That's how you kind of astral travel. If you're traveling far away, if you just come out of your body in your home, it's kind of relative. But if you are going to travel within distance, you travel in a wormhole. And then I remember I was in the jungle, and I went into the jungle, and then I was like in Brazil, and then and then I came back, and then you start traveling to different parts of the planet, like, and again, these experiences just happen spontaneously. I wasn't trying to go anywhere. But they just, so they come out. The first stage is like coming out of your body, and then you start going to different parts of the planet, and then you start going out into space. So I remember the first time I left my body, and then I remember traveling. I left my body, and then I saw the planet, and and then I saw all the planets, and then I saw and then I started going out more and more and more into space, and then I came back. So that's kind of like, okay, so now I'm having out of bodies or astral projecting out in space, and then you kind of need time to kind of like adjust to that, and then you start having more, and then you start having more, out of body experience out in space, and then you start. And then I became the planet as well. I was driving my car, and I had an out of body experience, and I became the planet, and then I came back in my body, and then so you see, so like the second stage, and then one time I was working in a restaurant, and I was serving some wine. And then as I'm serving the wine for a client, I came out of my body and I became the galaxy. And then I came back my body. And then, so you start having out of body experiences where you can actually become the planet, the sun, the galaxies, or you start expanding yourself out to the universe. And then, so that's kind of like the second stage. And then I remember, and then at one time I came out of my body, and then I kind of like traveled, astral travel out to the universe. And then I remember coming into a wall, and that was the edge of the universe. I came to the edge of the universe, and then at that point I was like, oh my God, there's an edge at the end of the universe, and it's like, yes. And then a being of light came, and told me, it's okay, don't worry about it. You can cross over if you like. But at that point, I was too overwhelmed, and I came back into my body. So but then another time, after a little while, I ended up going again. And then I actually ended up going, and I saw those kind of, it was like a being, like a blue light. And then it told me, you ready to cross over? I was like, yeah, sure. And I crossed over. And then that's when I realized that as I crossed over, that the universe was really me. So then I became the universe. And so those are like kind of like some of the stages of out of body experiences for Laura, and for anybody that is interested in, as they go slow. So first you'll start having them in your house, and in your car or whatever it is, and then you'll start traveling out to different parts of the world, and then you'll start traveling to other planets, and then will probably become, you could actually become the planet, you could actually become the sun, you can actually become the galaxy, and then you'll go and travel more into space, and then you kind of like. Then you'll go beyond the universe. And then once you go beyond the universe, I realized that I saw parallel universes. And then I remember becoming, I'd seen all those parallel universes just as other beings. And then I knew kind of like each one of those universes had like different laws. And then I ultimately realized that there too, that ultimately you become one with those other universes as well. And, you start expanding more your consciousness in the multiverse. But that's kind of like some of the experiences on the out of body experiences.
When you're having these OBEs while driving, are you bilocated? And what I mean by that is, are you still aware of your driving and then at the same time you're in these other places? Or are you completely absent of driving and you're just in another place?
Well, both, like kind of like Laura, I was driving and I had the experience, and I mean, at that point and again, the experience is just happening for like 5 seconds, I mean, not long, but yeah, I mean, at this time, you're like so overwhelmed over there, but then you kind of come back and you're like, oh my God, I was driving my car, and I think you become more immersed in that experience itself, but in a way, yeah, you're like, oh my God, I'm driving my car, like, and here I am becoming the planet, and it's like I should probably go back.
Yeah.
I don't want to crash.
Right, exactly. I mean, yeah, that could make it.
So there's stages of out of body experience, like everything, so then there's levels, so first your higher self will start giving you a little bit of those experiences, and then as you start having them more and more and more, then that's also when you start having access to parallel lives, and quantum jump, or astral project to those parallel lives as well, which I know Laura mentioned that she's seen a lot of past lives. So
well, I hope you watch tomorrow's videos, and I'd be curious to see what you would think about it after you see it.
It's about out of body experiences. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Perfect. Yes, of course.
Well, Raphael, thank you so much for coming, and Laura as well. You guys have a happy Easter. I wish you guys the best. I've got to run to the next guest. Y'all take care.
Okay, sounds good. All right.
Happy Easter.
All right, happy Easter.
I hope this helped people with out of body experiences.
And I'll give you a big round of applause. And before I get the next guest in, I want to get these super thanks. So I first want to say thank you so much to Shira. Growth is in the dirt, not dessert. Growth is in the dirt. Happy Passover and happy Easter. And Mika, you are so cute. And we think so too. So thank you again for that, Shira. And I know there's some more that came by. KS Wonder, thank you for the super thanks. We appreciate it. And let's see, I thought there's another one at least. No? I guess not. I was confused on that. All right, let's bring in Nancy. Oh yeah, that will be great. I'm waiting for that. It would be really cool if they do at least do his proposal live, right? Nancy, are you there?
Yes.
All right, we hear you. We just.
I'm coming. I just hit.
There you are. Hi, Nancy. Welcome. Great. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you.
Where are you Zooming from?
Charlottesville, Virginia.
Charlottesville. All right. So what do you have to share with us this evening?
Well, first I wanted to share how much I appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you.
And I just came across your YouTube channel within the last several weeks.
Oh, well,
and a couple of them really impacted me really strongly.
In what way?
I can't even remember the guy's name now, but it was somebody who when they spoke, it was like they spoke my language.
Mm-hmm.
I find that people sometimes, like Greg Braden, I have so much trouble listening to him because it's like what he's giving me is so dense.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy was just like speaking my language. It was like so easy to understand what he was trying to convey. And it just felt so good.
That's great. Yeah.
And,
it's amazing for me is that almost every guest that's on that I put on, there's almost every time somebody will say this was the best guest. So not everybody resonates with everybody, but at least almost everybody resonates with somebody.
Right. I have one question.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not a question, but something. I know what my experience was. I don't doubt my experience.
Mm-hmm. What happened?
My mother had a near-death experience. It's a long story, but she was delivering my sister and she had a bad heart. And this was back in the early 50s. And her heart stopped 3 times while she was delivering my sister. And she came out of it and she came back. And she told the doctors about it and that she never saw the doctor again after she asked the doctor about it. And he just, and she never saw him again. And but the nurses confirmed that everything she saw was what happened. That she saw him. He threw something across the room because he was so upset when she kept going back into the heart stopping, and he was yelling at the nurses. And my mom told her what he said to them and stuff. Anyway, but I grew up knowing that she'd had this experience, and she never talked about it a lot as when we were kids, but when we were adults she began to talk about it. And she just she said, you don't die, we don't die, we just change form, we don't die. And her experience was being sent back when she didn't want to be sent back, but anyhow, she had experimental open heart surgery on her heart in 1951, and nobody had ever lived for the doctor. And she survived. And as to quote my mom, I outlived all those damn doctors
Mhm.
who told me I wouldn't live to be 30. And anyhow, I was very close to my mom, very close, especially later on in life. And my mom always said, if you asked her something, she was very spiritual. And she was definitely here to help prepare us for this time we're going through right now. Her gift was that she worked with women to empower women to speak up for themselves, to express themselves, to fight for themselves, for their, and she would have meetings, that she set up in workshops and stuff. And she worked with people, but when she was dying, she always knew that she didn't die. She was, as she said, I'm not afraid of death. I'm just afraid of the process and getting from here to there. And so we had many discussions about her coming to me and letting me know, I said, I know you'll be fine, but I'll need some confirmation as a human. The human part of me needs that. And she did. She came just exactly the way she told me she would. And it was so clear and so easy to know. That was the night she died. And but my question was, I had an experience where her body was still hanging on. And it was the day she died. And I woke up, I'd slept for like 20 hours at the assisted living where we were. And as I was coming awake, I went through her life review with her.
Wow.
And I didn't even know that I've never I've talked about it and told some people about it, but I've not really discussed it a whole lot. I didn't know it was something that was a thing that people experienced. And I just, in the last month, was exposed to that. And it was very clear. I can tell you exactly what it was like for her and her joy when it finished. And I could feel her pain when she was looking at something that was painful for her to feel what other people had felt when she had acted certain ways. And it was so clear to me. I've never doubted the experience. But have you heard much about that or about?
I've had people have shared death experiences with people, and people, kind of crossing, with someone who is leaving their body, and they leave with them, and they may kind of slowly leave this realm, but not completely cross over. I'm not sure if I've had a shared life review. It sounds familiar, and honestly, sometimes since I do a daily show and I'm up to 700 videos, they all start to bleed together. It's kind of a weird thing.
Right.
But I was curious when you said that you felt her joy and felt her pain. Sometimes life reviews, I think, for people are more of a life relive. It's like they're re-experiencing the life.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you were experiencing her life with her? You weren't re-experiencing her life.
It was a shared experience between us, but I don't feel like I was just given the gift of feeling what she felt.
You didn't feel like when she was experiencing.
I didn't have any ownership in it.
Right. Or for example, like if she was re-experiencing celebrating your sister's birthday and she was feeling all this joy, did you re-experience something like that with her as if you were her?
Mm-mm.
You just felt her happiness.
Yes, I felt her. We were in like an amphitheater,
and
it was like this ginormous, the biggest movie screen you can imagine. And there were all these beings, light beings, with us, in this amphitheater, and her guides were sitting next to us. And my mother always, if she ever had a question she wanted an answer to, she'd say, I'll just talk to my guides tonight.
Wow. That's
And
amazing.
yeah, it was. I mean, but I didn't feel like I was her. I felt her experiencing it, I think, is more how it felt. Like it was a shared experience, and I could feel her feelings about it. And, the hard parts as well as the joyous parts. And she had a really difficult life. But no, I didn't. I just felt like I was there, and I just went through it with her. And when it finished and the screen went dark, and she turned to me, and I saw her as who she was to me, and she looked at me and she was beaming, just beaming. And she said, I did it. I did it. I did what I came to do. And I didn't. She always used to, she told me that in the near-death experience, when they sent her back, they told her she had not finished.
I was going to say that I think that's people have, obviously they come back, but during NDEs, they have these life reviews. But what I find also interesting about this case is that your mom was going to be transitioning soon. I think it was even the same day, but hadn't yet. No. But she was already having the life review before she finally left.
Exactly. And that always puzzled me too. But I really feel when I went upstairs and I walked in her room, well, first I stopped at my stepdad's room because he was in the same place. And he was just so distraught and upset and sad and heavy. And I was like exuberant, bouncing around. And I kept wanting to say, she did it. She did it. She did what she wanted. And I walked into her room after I bombed with my poor stepdad because I came, the energy was too much for him. And when I went in her room, it was so quiet and so peaceful and so still. And my brother was there, and he was holding her hand, and he was taking her pulse, and he said 28 beats a minute. And I was so exuberant and so full of this feeling, even though it was a couple hours after it had happened. I just, and I said, what's 28? He said, her pulse. And I said, oh, and I just went on. It's like I didn't take in what he was meaning, which is she's very close to death. And he's had a lot of experience with death, and my brother has. And we went out to dinner. He said he was going to go get dinner, and I hadn't been out of the place in 5 days, and she had been comatose the whole time. And as soon as we left, she went. She didn't want us there. Yeah.
Interesting. And, I heard a hospice nurse. I don't know if it was just something I saw on TikTok or YouTube or one of my guests, because I've had a hospice nurse, Juliana, as a guest, but one of them was saying that, I think it was one of them, it could have been someone else. Again, they all start to bleed over, that sometimes people in exactly like your mom's situation wait until everybody's gone and then they cross.
I absolutely believe that.
They want to do it alone, or maybe they don't want to.
She had my nieces with her. It's like she felt safe, or not safe, but she didn't want us to experience her body dying.
Right.
And our reactions were so different. Mine, I'm still bouncing around happy, even though she died. And I was pissed she did it without me there. But that was her choice. And,
Mm.
Obviously. And she's come to me many times.
Oh, how was
I
that?
get,
In
I get,
dreams?
no, I get signs from her.
Oh, that's good.
I get lights that just appear like on the ceiling right after she died. I have a lot of that. And she had many experiences. I mean, for 6 months or a year before she died, she'd always tell us how she was going to her other room. And we'd say, "What are you talking about?" And she'd say, "It's just down the hall, da, 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 and it's right there by the elevator, and that's my room, and it's just like this one." And we thought it was just the drugs. And but for, I would say, 4 months, 5 months before she died, her brothers came, her sister came, her parents, people that were really important to her were there to, let her know she wasn't going to go by herself.
Well,
And
I view her leaving when you're not there as her last act of love, because she didn't want you to, be sad or experience her in that way.
she wanted us to remember that she didn't go anywhere
Mm.
and that she's close,
Yeah.
and I have this knowing that that's true. And my sister gets very frustrated because she can't feel that or doesn't feel that.
Right.
I don't know if it comes from the closeness I had to my mom,
Mm-hmm.
but we talked about this stuff all the time
Mm-hmm.
in the last 10 or 15 years of her life. And she studied spirituality and, just all of it, and tried different things. She tried drugs back in the 60s. I was almost 20 back then, but she was a free spirit. She became a free spirit. She had been like the good girl who did everything she was supposed to do. She married my dad. He went in the military during World War II. They blah, 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 blah. And then it all blew up. And then I guess she had this experience, and then it all blew up. And then, so for her whole life changed then. And as I say, she spent the second half of her life teaching us how to move into this time. And I haven't had any of those experiences except my own experiences with her. I've had tons of those. But I just wondered if you knew anything about that, because I've had people question me and say, "Oh, well, you must have been dreaming." And all I can tell you is I know what I know, and I know I was right there with her.
Right.
And anyhow, I appreciate your show so much. Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming and sharing with us. We all appreciate you, and don't be a stranger.
Thank you. I will definitely be watching you. Thank you.
All right. You have a great Easter.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And there is a nice round of applause for her. All right, guys. Well, it's been a busy night tonight. And as I've been mentioning, tomorrow's video is going to be with Luigi Chambarella from the Monroe Institute. And the next couple of videos I have lined up after that is one with, let me look here in my notes here real quick so I can kind of keep you guys, with Mira Kelly. She is a best-selling author on a book about past life regression. And I have a woman named Dr. Gail that we spoke about. We spoke about her ET contact, so that's going to be coming up early next week. And let me see here just what's on the schedule. I've got someone I've got to talk to about orbs. I've got another NDE. I've got 2 NDEs. Let's see. Actually, 3 NDEs. I'll just stop saying NDEs. It's 4 NDEs next week. And so that is, if you like NDEs, it's going to be a busy week for you guys. I see Leslie Kings is in the chat, so happy Easter to you, Leslie. I'm not sure if Leslie is doing this. I think he is still, but Leslie has a continuation party going on his YouTube channel if you want to hang out with him. and listen to him channel some music for you. You can keep going and hanging out with each other. There's 350 of you here, so if you enjoy chatting with each other, head on over to Leslie's channel and hang out. I think he'll be playing with you. Playing piano. And I guess that's basically it. It's been a busy night. I appreciate all of you. We wish you all a happy Easter, and and a happy Passover if that's your faith. And we love you all. We wish you the best, and we will see you back next Saturday.